All right, everyone, I think we are live. We'll just give it one sec to load. If you are tuning in tonight, welcome to the start of the fall season of the Vernon Salon series. This is the very beginning of our new season. We took a break for the summer and really pleased tonight to present Miles Graber and Dan Flanagan. Dan is a violinist, Miles is a pianist, and they're going to be presenting very short violin and piano pieces, all by August birthday composers, which is a program that Dan and Miles planned themselves. So just a quick word, a few words about the Vernon Salon series. This was a series that I founded about 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago at this point, and it's a continuously run monthly music concert series here in Oakland. We generally meet in person and have gone virtual in the last 5 months or so. And so we're attempting this new format. I think it's been working pretty well. One of the wonderful things is that people can tune in from all over the world now. So what I'll be doing throughout the concert, as Miles and Dan are playing, is tuning into the YouTube comments, answering any questions you have. And please feel free to stay on afterwards for a little bit. We'll have a Q&A with the performers. Um, in terms of supporting the artist and ways that you can support this series, you should see right there a little link to PayPal and Venmo on the bottom part of your screen. This will ensure that the series can keep going, and it will help you support the artist performing tonight. So you're in for a real treat. 8 short violin and piano pieces. Dan Flanagan on violin, Miles Graber on piano. Give me 1 second to turn over my video to them. And we are all set to start, you two. Welcome. Good luck tonight.
Hi everybody, thanks for watching. Since I got a mask on, I'm going to shout. We're going to start with a piece that everybody knows by a composer who needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. His name's Claude Debussy. The piece is Beau Soir. It means good evening, so good evening. Normally this wouldn't be at the beginning of a program, but I just wanted to start with it, and Miles thought it was a good idea. It is an arrangement by the legendary violinist Jascha Heifetz, and Debussy is an August birthday composer. His birthday is August 22nd. He was born in 1862. Okay, Next, we're going to play another short violin and piano piece by Lili Boulanger. Her birthday is August 21st. She was born in 1893. And she is the younger sister of Nadia Boulanger, who was a giant of the composition world in the 20th century. Lili died when she was 24, unfortunately, and she didn't get a chance to write that much music. She was always really sickly, even as a baby, and she died from intestinal tuberculosis. This is one of the first pieces she wrote. It's from 1911 called Nocturne. Obviously, she liked Debussy a lot. There's a little quote from Afternoon of the Faun in there. Okay. We are actually at the home of Bruce Crisp and Gabriela Wunsch. They're very close friends of me and Miles. They have this spectacular piano from 1892. It's a Steinway. And Miles is thrilled to play on it. And Bruce has all this wonderful equipment and an ear of a god, and he's taking care of all of our sound today. But as you know, it's live streamed, so things could go wrong. Next, we're going to play a piece by George Enescu. His birthday is August 19th, 1881. He was an outstanding composer, but pretty much only violinists know about him. He was a terrific violinist. He was an amazing violin teacher. He taught Yehudi Menuet. He taught Christian Ferrat. He taught Ida Handel, who just died. He taught Ivry Gitlis, who's not dead, but you know, he's late in his 90s now and still performing. This piece is rarely performed. It's called Impromptu Concertante, and I'm going to invite up Gabriela, who's a wonderful violinist, to help us out. But today she's just turning pages. You can't really find this piece in print, so I got it off of IMSLP, and I'm reading off a piano score. And it turns out I kind of need the piano score because it's really complicated. You're going to hear tons and tons and tons and tons of notes fly by. But if you just think of Richard Strauss writing lounge music in Paris, you'll get the gist of it. Gabriella Wunsch, everybody. Thank you. So the next piece we're going to play is very, very exciting for me. It's by Albert Spalding. Now, George Enescu, who we just played, was also very exciting for me. I've never gotten to play any music by George Enescu. This is my first time, so thank you very much for letting me program whatever I want. Next, we're going to play this piece by Albert Spalding. He was a very important American violinist who is all but forgotten today. Most violinists don't even know who he was, just violin historians like myself. So his uncle was a Hall of Fame baseball player, and his uncle and his father started this little company called Spalding Sporting Goods. You might have heard of it. And he was this child prodigy who did all his early studies in Europe, mostly in Austria and Italy. And then he came back here and made a big splash as a soloist and was amazing. Then World War I started, and he fought in the trenches, became a sergeant, and he was the most played violinist on American radio for 3 years in a row during the 30s. More than Heifetz, more than Chrysler. The problem is that he didn't record for Victor, and now we don't know who he is. But you can find his recordings out there. You can search him on YouTube. Another thing I love about Spalding is in between the First and the Second World War, he was actually a spy for the United States government. Because of all the access he had in the fascist countries when he was younger, he would go and play all these concerts and then, listen and overhear what diplomats were saying. Another reason why I love Spalding is he used to own this violin. It's an 1840 Vuillaume, Jean-Baptiste Vuillaume. He was a French violin maker. And, I just happened upon it. It belonged to Philip Reuter. He was concertmaster of the Cincinnati Symphony for 20-something years, and he sold it to me. Okay, so now we're going to play this piece by Spalding. It's called Menuet Watteau, and it's from a collection of 4 pieces for violin and piano. We're just going to play this one. Isn't that just adorable? I have this plan. One of these days I'm going to record all the violin piano music that Spalding wrote. These 4 pieces, the Menuet being one of the 4, has never really been recorded. You can't find it on YouTube or anything like that until now. Okay, now that we're working with Americans, we're going to go to Amy Beach. She's a mostly forgotten composer, and it has nothing to do with her not being good. It has entirely to do with her being a woman. Her birthday is actually September 5th, but it's close enough, so I included her. She was born in 1867. She was an amazing concert pianist that toured all over the country. And then she married a Boston surgeon, and part of the deal of marrying him was that she had to be a proper Victorian lady. She could no longer perform regularly. She could give just a couple of concerts per year and donate her salary to charities. What she was allowed to do was still write music as long as it was published under the name Mrs. H.H.A. Beach. Well, at least we have that. Then he died, and she resumed her performance career. She wrote this piece for the great American violinist Maud Powell. And by the way, if you're enjoying this music, you should give us some money. This is me smiling. Okay, here's the romance. Okay, Amy Beach Romance. We're going to switch gears now and play stuff that's not from the 19th century. We're going to play a couple pieces from the 21st century. And all kidding aside, Anne's recital series is really a wonderful thing. So please do support her so that she can continue bringing recitals like this, streamed and then live once we go back into the concert hall. After all that wonderful music, it's time for you to hear some mediocre music. This is a piece that I wrote. I started writing it in, I suppose September of 2019, right after I got back from Paris. There's this artist named Jean-Jacques Henner. Around here we call him Henner. I suppose I should call him Henner too, because I say Debussy, I don't say Debussy. So I should probably call him Henner. Anyway, Jean-Jacques Henner. I went to visit the museum dedicated to his paintings in Paris, and they're absolutely wonderful. He was a 19th century French artist. He painted lots of portraits, particularly of gorgeous red-haired mystical women, and he has a lot of paintings of faceless nudes in smoky forests. And that's what this piece is about. It's called Nu aux cheveux roux, which means nude with red hair. Miles and I performed this piece back in November. We premiered it at the Throckmorton Theater in Mill Valley, and then we played it a second time at a private house concert. And I decided to change a few things in it. I threw in a waltz, and today we're going to premiere the second revised edition. And I'd like to say hello to my friends in France. Isabelle Delanoy is watching. She is the expert on this artist. She wrote the books on him. And Cecile is in charge of concerts at the museum. They have invited me to come and perform this there once the pandemic subsides. So, hope you guys like this. Oh yes, my birthday was in August too. It was on the 10th. Okay, well, there's that. If you like that piece I just wrote, please let me know. If you didn't like it, you know, please lie or keep it to yourself. Either one will work. You can see more of us on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel. I've been recording a lot of pieces since the sheltering started, where I pair solo violin pieces along with artwork. So if you like this idea, go check it out. And if you want to see Miles, well, everybody in the San Francisco Bay Area wants to play with Miles. So you'll see thousands of videos of him all over YouTube. We're very lucky to have him here. We're going to go on to another relatively new piece. This is written by Fritz Gearhart. I used to study with Fritz Gearhart at University of Oregon. I did my master's there, and I was his teaching assistant. And after coming from a conservatory in Cleveland, I ended up going to study with him because I thought he had a lot of interesting stuff to say, and I loved his playing. And recently, with sheltering in place, he started posting videos on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'm very happy to say that I still like his playing 20 years later. And he posted this piece, which he wrote in 2008. And when I heard it about a week and a half ago, we had already set our program, and I said to Miles, what do you think of this? And he loved it too. Initially, we were going to play all 4 of those short pieces by Albert Spalding, but we cut out 3 of them to make room for this because we liked it so much. It's called Opus 3, and it's for Emily, the cellist he played with at a trio who passed away long before she should have. So this is Fritz Gearhart's Emily. And by the way, he's also born in August 1st. Aren't you glad we played that instead of more Spalding? Okay, it's time for the last piece on the program today. This is by Clarence Cameron White. He was the most important African-American violinist in the first quarter of the 20th century. He composed a lot of music. He's pretty much forgotten today. He wrote symphonic music, he wrote an opera, he wrote an enormous amount of vocal repertoire. He used many, many spirituals in the music that he wrote. and you'll actually hear a little bit of one in the middle of this piece. This one is called Levee Dance, and we still have it in our repertoire basically because Jascha Heifetz recorded it. So Clarence Cameron White's birthday is August 10th, same day as mine, only he was born almost 100 years before me in 1880. Before we finish up, I'd like to thank Bruce and Gabriella for having us in their home with this spectacular piano. And of course, Miles for coming to play with me and suffering through my music. And we'd like to thank Meredith for keeping all the cats and the parrot quiet right now. And I'd like to thank Gabriella for turning my pages, and of course, Anne for creating and keeping this series going. Don't forget to let her know how much you love her series and support it, please. Okay, here's Levee Dance.
Yay! I'm sure you two can't hear clapping from anyone else, but hopefully you can hear clapping from me. Or if you can relay it to Bruce. Bravo. Bravo, both of you. Maybe for our audience, go ahead and take a bow, even though there's no one there. Bravo. Woohoo! All right. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Dan. If you can see this all okay, I think we are split screen now. So before I launch into all the Q&A that people might have, you had some really amazing comments going on during the piece. It seemed like Dan, your piece was really well liked, and the one after it too, the Gearhart, as well. We had some really, really nice comments about that. I'm just scrolling back through some of the comments on my laptop here. We had people tune in from the East Coast, from LA, from other parts of the West Coast. And now, if anybody can hear me okay, are there any questions that we want to ask Dan and Miles, maybe about their pieces, about their careers, about anything that they do in their daily playing, etc.? I'm kind of looking down at my laptop here, looking back at the other screen, seeing if I'm missing any comments on my phone. And maybe while we're waiting for some questions to come in, anything else that either of you would like to say about the program or your experience tonight doing this? Because I know this is a new territory of the live stream concerts in the last 5 months or so, and maybe
it's
how
really,
you feel
really
about it all.
It's very, very strange to do it like this. I mean, we're thrilled to do it, but it's so nice when there's an audience in front of us and we can see them smiling or frowning and things like that. We had to use our imaginations. Got bright lights on me. Yeah.
Some sort of reaction.
I got to hear you clapping though. That was very nice.
We have a question. What was the rehearsal like during COVID, quote unquote? So was anything affected by this? Did you feel any different about certain things going on?
We rehearsed in Miles' studio, and this is the closest we've been. I was about 10 feet across the room, and we had our masks on, and we had the windows open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So changing the way that we. Oh, I'm sorry, Miles. Go ahead.
The mask and 6 feet was the whole deal. And that's sometimes easy and sometimes not so easy. But we did it.
Can you hear him? Okay.
Yeah, but you did. I can hear him a little bit. But what I'm getting is that it's changing. For me, especially, just thinking about this time, changing the way we think about indoor spaces and our proximity to other folks. If we allow ourselves to be in an indoor space with other people, and still being cautious and being safe and trying to keep this all at bay. We have a call from someone for encore. Is there an encore?
Oh, that's a good question.
We hadn't planned
no
one.
pressure.
Huh.
What would you like to hear? Which Paganini Caprice would you like to hear?
Which Paganini Caprice would you like to hear?
That is absolutely a
Anyone? No, I'm kidding. Good joke.
I can play a little bit of Bach. Would you like to hear Bach?
Someone was asking.
Okay.
That would be really nice. Let's do that. I'm going to spotlight the video on you all so people get full screen. Give me one sec. All right.
So Bach actually has no business being on this recital. His birthday was not in August, but we like him anyway. This is the first movement from his Partita number 2, the Allemande. So I got a funny story to tell you. I did another live stream recital 2 days ago for the Modesto Symphony. It was all solo violin. I played Bach and some fiddle tunes, and I premiered a piece that I just wrote. And I experienced every musician's nightmare. I got to the climax of my piece, which had an effect that goes something like that. And I got a little too excited. I hit the bridge a little too hard, and it pushed the bridge out of sync. My E string went about a half step flat, and I stopped and tried to retune it, then kept going. And the string kept going flatter and flatter and flatter as with the piece. And while it was hilarious, it was actually very, very frustrating. And it pulled the whole fiddle out of whack. So if you're hearing it whistling here and there, it's because the bridge still isn't in the right spot. I got to bring it to my violin doctor soon.
Well, thank you, Dan.
And then I had a nightmare last night. You might get a kick out of that. I had this dream that I was holding my violin, getting ready for today's concert, and everything in here was melting. The tailpiece was missing. The bridge was really, really tiny. I was trying to put it in the right spot, and it kept bending around like Gumby.
That's terrible.
We all get the pre-performance bad dreams, don't we? In various imaginative ways.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dan. That was a very beautiful encore. Any last calls, folks, on YouTube for questions? Oh, question about the violin, Dan. The violin is 1840. Was that correct?
Yes, it is. I actually thought that it was 1850, but I just had the biggest expert check a look at it. His name is Ron Paul. He's in France. And he and his assistants were able to confirm that it's actually 1840, and it's a bench copy of Paganini's violin, the Canon. And it's actually a complete twin of Eugene Izai's violin, which they actually just sold 7 months ago. So we compared the photos back and forth. Every single little detail about the aging is identical to Izai's violin, and all of the wood grain makes it clear that it's actually the same piece of wood. You can look at it a little bit closer here.
Yeah, we're gonna spotlight that for a second. Wonderful. That's a beautiful color.
Yeah. I'm very lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. It's the same kind of violin that Hilary Hahn plays on, so they've become very, very popular. And 100 years ago, people like Spalding and Chrysler and Isaac Stern, they all had a Viome. It's probably what they played on their outdoor jobs, because at that time they were fairly new and not very expensive. But nowadays, we're thrilled if we have one.
Definitely. We had one more question. Who's your violin doctor?
I have about 8 of them. Most recently, I've been going to Haida at Ifshin Violins. He put this bridge on here just about a month ago, and I really, really like the way it sounds. The violin's pretty much very bright. The E string is silky and golden. The G string is a little bit on the thin side, but with this bridge, I got a lot more beef on the G string. I've also gone to Joan Balter many, many times. I have a wonderful relationship with Tony Lane and with Jesse Mashmeyer. I sort of trickle around between all 4 of those.
Okay, great. One question about you were comparing the violin to the other one from the same time period. The grain is in the same direction, someone's asking. Is that how you can tell?
I couldn't really tell you how they know for sure. They explained it to me in French. But they were able to confirm that absolutely they were made at the same time off of the same pieces of wood.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, I think we will wrap up the Q&A a little bit. I'm just looking at my laptop again for any last minute questions. But just a shout out before people leave the live stream here, and while we still have Dan and Miles in front of the camera, this series is something that it started out as a personal project 4.5 years ago, and I just want to emphasize how more important it has become during this time. Many of us musicians, I would say probably almost all of us, almost all or all of us have had work cut drastically in the form of gigs, in the form of regularly scheduled season live performances. Small series like this are no longer able to operate in the same kind of communal way, and kudos to everyone who has kept going, has found innovative ways to make this all work during this time. But that doesn't mean that that we do this and everything's okay. We still need the support of a lot of people, no matter who you are. If you play, but you also have a teaching job, like many of us, if you gig full time, if you are in an orchestra, this is a very difficult time for all artists. And so again, kind of last minute encouragement for people to donate to Dan and Miles, because it was truly a beautiful program. I love that they were all August composers and that it tied into the theme, and especially to Dan, that you brought in your own piece. That was really, really lovely. Just a little heads up for what's up to come next month. Next month is Friday, September 25th. So in 4 weeks. We have local-based Oakland tenor Alex Tate. I'll just read you a little bit about his description that he sent me over for his set. He will share a portion of his one-man show focusing on the development of the Negro spiritual, its evolution within, and its influence on American music. The program will consist mainly of his original piano and vocal arrangements of Negro spirituals, plus a few other more contemporary forms of American music. So that's in 4 weeks. But just finishing up with Dan and Miles, any last minute things either of you would like to say or
Actually,
share
yeah.
with your loyal YouTube listeners?
Yeah, you asked before what it was like doing this sort of thing, and we said it was very weird. It's also very pleasurable. Miles had a big performance. He was supposed to play the Beethoven Triple Concerto in San Francisco a few weeks ago, and of course that got canceled.
Wow.
I had a big premiere. I was commissioned to write a piece for the Swedenborgian Church in San Francisco. That was supposed to be premiered. That got canceled. See, we're devastated not to be able to perform the way we're used to. And in the first few months of sheltering, musicians, we just weren't playing together. And little by little, we've started doing it. And when Miles and I got together a few weeks ago, it was so much more fun than it normally is.
Right.
We just haven't been able to hear people. So putting this program together has really been wonderful for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, both, so much. We're going to log off right now. We have a last minute thank you to the tech support on both ends here in Oakland and in Vallejo. We couldn't have done it without you all either. And I think we will say goodbye for now. So thank you, and everyone, please tune in a month. If you'd like to continue to support the series, you can donate at PayPal or Venmo. And if you would like to go to my website, annrainwater.com, you can also sign up to be put on the monthly mailing list for this series. Thank you so much, and enjoy your weekend. Thanks, Miles.